Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, today my name is Alvin James, and I'm so excited to be here trying to share, a thing or two about this, startup building or what you need as part of like building your own startup. So I'm so excited. This is my first session, and we're gonna share some of my learnings as a co-founder of basically some businesses in Tanzania, and I'm gonna give you tips on how to build a proper business or on things to actually consider when you want to build a company, if you might say so. So first of all, I have to introduce myself. My name is Alvin James. I'm the co-founder of Anzisha Ventures, a company located in Morogoro. So good to be here. We recently got our new CEO, Jacqueline Buana, such an excitement. And as one of the co-founders of the business, I'm pretty much psyched to be part of this and to be part of this venture with my partners and basically trying to unlearn some of the things we have done in the past and basically trying to give back and make sure everybody is well equipped with some of the things we know about, how to build a successful business, right? So you know what? Let's get into it. Let's not waste so much time. Let's get into it, trying to see what's going on. Maybe I can give you my 2 cents. Maybe they'll be helpful. Maybe they'll be not. Just take whatever is helpful to you. So I'll start by what always people start with: the exciting stuff, the boring, exciting stuff, something you could Google. But what is a startup? A lot of people would ask themselves questions. I don't want to talk about the other part of, the SMEs and stuff. I'm going to talk about startup because I'm a founder, a co-founder of some startups, Food Sasa, Anzisha as a partner. That's the reason why I'm here. So let's focus on that as a co-founder of Anzisha. Anzisha is a startup that is helping other startups to start up by providing soft skills needed, things like this that you can actually use to build your own successful business, right? So to me, again, could have been wrong. A startup is a company that is designed to grow incredibly fast, right? Fast. Typically using technology. I mean, you could create a company that without technology, call it a startup. That's your definition. And trust me, you are very right according to you. But according to me, when the company is growing, is expected to go or designed to grow incredibly fast, and it uses technology, to me, I call that a startup, right? It is also an experiment to build an obvious hypothesis. See, have you ever seen a tax hailing company with no taxes, that it doesn't own any taxi? So this is a startup. First of all, it uses technology, it grows incredibly fast, and then he talks about non-obvious stuff, right? So this, and then it is uncovering something that has not been done before, or to give a competitive edge. Something we always know, we always have hotel, guest houses. If you travel, Menda Singida, there's a place you can stay. But we never thought about, Airbnb, where, you could, just book a place before you go and stay. So this is something that came to actually give a competitive edge to already existing. We will talk about how you come up, with ideas and stuff, and then you'll be able to connect why companies like Airbnb and companies like, Taxify, Bolt, Uber came to be, right? So basically, a startup, just to give you overview, is a company that is designed to grow incredibly fast using technology, and also sometimes to build, it's an experiment to build non-obvious hypothesis, also uncovering, something that has not been done before, or to give it a very competitive edge. Yeah. So some of you were asking me inbox, what are the elements of a startup hypothesis? Like what are we talking about? What are these key pillars, on building hypothesis of a startup? So to me, according to me, I have three different pillars that I actually talk about, focuses on when I'm trying to build. These are elements, of a startup hypothesis. So the first one is a problem. The second one is the solution. And the third one is why you. So what is your problem? What is your solution? And why do you think you are the one qualified to actually be able to solve that problem, right? So problems basically, if starting with the problems, basically should be well defined, right? Should be well defined, framed, sense checked and researched. Like you need to, focusing on the problem, you need to be able to define it so well, bits in with the tiny weeny details, right? So you have to deep dive. So and then you have to frame it, they call it a problem statement whatsoever, and then you have to sense it. You have to sense check it. Does it make sense, right? And then you have to research it. You need to have all the important details on how big this problem is, how painful it is, how many people, what is the market size, or whatever. Yeah. So that is what you could. Yeah, we'll talk more about problems in my follow-up classes. Maybe I could add a thing or two in your understanding of a particular problem. So maybe you have some of the problems you want to tackle, so I could be able to be able to help you out, right? So let's see now, if you want to create a startup, right? Let's see categories of a new startup, right? So let's see what are the categories that the startups will always fall on, right? So I have couple categories that you could add. You could Google more, you could focus on more, but I have 5 of them that I always use on my daily definition of what the categories are, or this is the categories of a startup are, right? So the first one is a white space. Yeah. So the first one is a white space. What is a white space? There's a genuine innovation from the scratch, things that came out of let's say straight from the scratch, right? So these are genuine product, guys. Let me come back for more, and then I'll teach you more. Yeah, I'm back. I'm back again, guys. So the first category I was talking about a genuine innovation, right? Genuine innovation, like this is from the scratch. Things like, for example, the first guy to Tesla to create I don't know, a car that is not using gas, or the first guy to come up with a camera, I don't know, digital camera or some. These are white space, like they were not existing before, and you are the first one to come with it. I know you could Google a lot of innovation that are falling under the white space. These are genuine innovation. You're the first person to create this innovation. And then the second category to me would be building blocks on macro trends. Building blocks on macro trends. What does it mean? This means creating goods and services that enable larger trends. For example, you have an existing product that serves a smaller whatever, and you kind of create a bigger. So you build blocks of macro trends on existing something. So you create a good or service that enables larger trends. Yeah. The third one would be application of old to new. Application of old to new. What does this mean? This means taking a product or a business model or a process that is existing and applying it to to a new vertical. Yeah, that you have this existing product. Maybe new verticals could have been so many things, right? Maybe you expand this, you expand that, but basically you're taking a product / a business model or a process that is existing and you're applying, you change some few things, you adopt it, you make it yours. So that is applying to an old and existing product to like a new vertical, right? So that's very easy. We can deep dive later. I'll talk more about this. Now let's just talk about the definition. The fourth one would be new geographies. Like we're talking about location-based. We're talking about applying a successful concept from Kenya or from abroad or anything and launch it in Tanzania, right? We're talking about like creating your own Uber or creating your own Jumia or anything. So this is like, they're called new geographies. This is one of the categories of creating a new startup, is when you look at the startups out there, whatever they're performing, maybe you love what they're doing, so you take that successful product from abroad, Dubai or US or whatever, then you bring it in your region, like Tanzania or East Africa or whatever it is. The last one that, according to me, I call it tinkering. Tinkering is just tinkles. It tinkles. It's when you spot a very dirty, nagging problem and figure out on how to fix it. Basically, for example, the parking problem in Kariakoo. It tinkles. Nobody wants to go to Kariakoo because, yeah, among other factors, is you might not get parking for the guys with cars, right? So that tinkles. That's just, ooh, I want to solve this, right? So that is basically, according to me, that is some of the categories of how you could create a new startup. You could have a white space, genuine innovation, or whatever. You could build macro, macro trends for a good or service. You could take existing product, change business models, change whatever, or change packaging, whatever, and launch it. You could take an abroad product from other countries to your country, call it new geographies, or you could find for a problem that tinkles people, a nagging problem, and then create a solution. That's when you create a product. Now, when you put a technology part of it, then to me, when it grows incredibly fast and it uses technology, and then you follow some of that, to me, that is a very that's a startup. That's the best definition of a startup. Now, after that, after we already know how you can come up with a startup, what is a startup? What are the 3 elements of a startup? Being problem, solution, why you, and then how you come up with how you create startup. Let's talk about what are the characteristics of a good problem. We talked about a problem. We're still talking about problem. We say it should be well defined, framed, sense-checked research, and we look at how you could 5 categories, how you can create a new startup. Now, let's talk about a problem. What defines a good problem? What says this is a good problem? You could solve this problem. What are these factors? What are these things we look at? Okay, the first one is it painful? Is it painful? We talk about the problem is so painful or expensive that users will pay anything to solve it. What is this problem that you think it's so painful in your region that people are willing to pay anything to solve it? We talk about Corona. When Corona was here, people were buying a lot of stuff with the solutions. Whoever who came up with, covering yourself, kujifukiza and all that, people were paying millions just to let this go. So it was very easy. So ask yourself, is it painful enough for people to pay anything to actually solve it? The second thing would be, is it popular? Do you have millions of potential users, right? So how many people are affected by this? How many people that could have, what's the market size, basically? So is it popular? Do you have potential millions of users to actually jump into this, to be your potential users? Now, the third one will be how frequent? How frequent? I mean, how frequent users run into this problem? Is it several times a day? Is it a week? Is it annually? Like, how frequently this problem appears. So you also need to ask yourself that, and that could have been another, that if there's a concept called RFM, you need to focus on 3 factors: recency, frequency, and monetary value. Many times, number of orders per person, that is, talks about frequency, it shows it's equivalent to loyalty. If somebody buys from you every time, every now and then, the frequency rate is high, it shows that this customer is a little bit, you know, customer loyalty can be defined from the frequency, the number of times one customer buys from you. Okay, that's the third one. So the fourth one is urgent. What's urgency? Like, you need to come up, is the problem needs to be solved now. If that is so, that means this is a good problem. A problem that can be, people want it to be solved now. Like, what about now? So that urgency is, so if something is urgent, if this problem is very urgent, people want to solve it now, that means that's a good problem, right? The fifth one is it growing at least 20% per year? Like, is it growing? You know, that shows that even your traction would be growing annually. If it's not growing, if it's a problem, if you solve it now, then that's it. No, you have a problem to be a good problem. It has to be growing at least 20% plus a year over year, right? So for example, again, the example of parking in Kariakoo, it grows. We always have a bigger and worse parking situation in Kariakoo as we move along, right? So that is a good problem. If you solve that problem, then you are solving a good problem. The last one, but not least, is it an unavoidable? Like, the problem you cannot avoid, like solving, for example, regulation. A lot of startups will get caught up with taxes. We'll get caught up chasing our dreams. We forget that we have taxes to pay to TRA, right? So that is unavoidable. If somebody comes with a streamlined financial services or anything that focuses on removing something that we cannot avoid, that is a very good problem. Something like regulations, you cannot avoid, whether you know or you don't know, you will never avoid it. So if you solve something people cannot avoid, that is a good problem. I've mentioned six things you need to look at before you call it a good problem, right? I said, is it painful? As I said, is it popular? Is it frequently happening? Is it urgent? Is it growing at least 20% year over year? Is it unavoidable? If it is so, then you're in a good path of creating a startup and solving that good problem, right? So let's talk about framing the problem, right? So framing the problem and laying out the hypothesis is to test, is, you frame it, you lay out all these hypotheses just to test, to see if this problem is critical, right? So you have to kind of like, so now you've really identified, you could have a mix between, your problem can cut across between it being painful, popular, and frequent, or it can be urgent, growing, unavoidable. So what you should do is now you should focus on how do we move from now. Let's say we frame our problem, we identify, we did so much deep dive in research, and we realized that it's falling under this category. So now how do we move from here? Let's say you've already found out that particular problem you want to solve, and now you're stuck there, right? So now let me take you out of that, right? Let me try to share my personal thinking. Again, I keep saying personal because this is my personal experience, right? So get your hooks into the problem, first of all. That's the first thing you need to do. So you could do primary, secondary researches. You could do what we call, you could build personas in terms of identifying, your users and run a series of user interviews in terms of what do they think about that particular problem and can they pay for it, right? So this can be done via primary and secondary researchers. See methods, you could find a lot of methods, but the best method you could use here is a series of user interviews where you meet your potential users to ask a couple of questions, but make it very simple, just to find out how bad, how big the problem you thought it is. I mean, how big is it to them? So the user interview will actually give a sense of belonging to these people. When you create a product, they'll kind of feel like you have what we call shared value with them because you align their needs in building this particular product, right? Okay, so in solving the problem, there are a couple methods to innovate, basically to innovate whatever problem you come up with, right? So one of the things that you need to focus on when you want to innovate, one of the methods you need to focus on when you want to innovate now, building your product, towards your problem is product innovation, right? Such as inventing new, embedding social or improved performances. Like sometimes you identify a problem in an existing solution. Yeah. So and then you go create. So your product innovation basically is just focusing on improved performance or improving performance in terms of giving more accessibility. For example, there's a product called Pango that is giving rent money, advanced rent money to working professionals. But banks are already doing this using their salary advance schemes. So, but everybody's scared, when they hear the word bank, they go like, ooh. So this product is just coming in to kind of ease up the bridge between the bank and the people. So this is like just to improve performance, getting people close to finances, getting people aware of their financing and stuff. So basically, product innovation is just focusing on inventing new stuff, embedding social into it, and also improve performance. Basically, existing product, add some some paprika in there, and makes it a new product. And then the second method would be process innovation, such as you can use this to innovate your problem. Process innovation, such as like manufacturing, automation, and all this kind of stuff, right? So these are some of the methods. And then the other one would be business model innovation. Like basically, I talked about such as sharing economic, fixed fee service subscription and all this. Like there's a business model innovation means there's a company that is doing so and so, but I mean the way they build the business model is not very so and so. So what we do is we focus. One of the methods we use here in solving this problem, we on how to innovate in solving this problem. We focus on the business model innovation. That means we kind of tweak the business model to align with his existing need to attain that shared value between customers. So most of these methods could be used when you're talking about new geographies. So like when you copy a product from for example EduTech from abroad, you bring it to your region. You need to focus on the market and the need that this might not do it in Tanzania. So what is the business model innovation that could have made tweaks here and there, to actually align with the market need, right? So let's just say you come up with a good problem, you identify ways in terms of methods on how to innovate. You already have a good problem. Now let's ideate, right? Let's ideate. So when starting to ideate, right? When you're like, now I have a good problem, yay! So now I want to ideate, right? When starting to ideate, build a core before expanding. This is the reason why some of my startup dies, because as I said, startup is a company that is designed to grow incredibly fast, right? So if you don't build a core before expanding, oof, you know what I'm saying, man, right? So what is this niche where you will grow fastest, right? Guys, you build for growth. So you need to ask yourself, when starting to ideate, build a core before expanding, one, and then you need to ask yourself, what is this niche that my company will go the fastest, even if it's like small, market size, but in this market size, my growth will be 10 times month of month, right? So 10x, right? And then build a vertical of a letter T before branching out, along. For example, Google. When you build a vertical with letter T, before you guys, Google search before Gmail. Google built Google search before Gmail. Like, that's where we're going. So before Gmail, before Maps, before YouTube, before calendar, they first build a Google search. They know through Google search, they will grow fast. And then we can expand, vertical expansion, right? So build a vertical of letter T before branching out. So you need to know how to build it, right? So ideation is part, remember the three hypotheses we were talking about? The problem, solution, why you? So problem, we focus deeply in it. We even talked about the methods on how you could innovate your product. And then the ideation is on the solution part. The second part is the solution. Problem, solution, why you? So ideation. And we talked about ideation. When starting to ideate, please build a core. Please build a core before expanding. Because startup will go incredibly fast. And if you do not have a strong core, you're going to stumble. You're going to the whole shebang, right? The whole shebang. Yeah. So, and then you need to identify this niche market that will give you the 10x growth, this fastest growth, right? Before you expand to anything. Google started with Google search before anything else, right? So you need to adopt that. So if you have these products, you have a lot of products, wait for it. Build a core, look for that niche, look for that product that will give you that growth, and that niche market that will give you that, and then expand to other products, right? Now, let's finalize our session today by talking now the last part of why you. Why you? You have a good problem. We already ideate creating a good solution. There are things we should focus on before we, but why you? Let's answer why you. Okay, let's deep dive into it. Why you is very essential in building a startup or in building a startup idea. Like on that conceiving a startup idea, like when you're on that process, why you is very essential. Yeah, there would be hundreds of teams working to solve, every problem. So you need that unfair advantage. You need that added value. You need why you. Everybody is solving a particular problem. Why should you be the one to solve this particular one? So that you need to be, you need to have that unfair advantage, that you have on top of everybody else who's trying to solve this, right? So what are these? Some of you might ask yourself, what are these unfair advantages, right? So unfair advantages usually come in the form of, for example, you need to have found a great founding team. Like you are perhaps one of only maybe handful people in the world who can solve that particular problem, or you're like a serial entrepreneur. That's why when you pitch to investors and say, I'm the second-time founder, that is an unfair advantage to other first-time founders. For example, this is my second startup I'm founding. The other one, let's say the other one went IPO, I sold it out, or I exited, or something like that. That is an unfair advantage. So when you identify a problem, you have a solution, and then people ask you, why you? You say, because I've done it before. I created a startup, my founding team, me and my co-founders created a couple startups that we exited, we cashed in, here we are trying to create a new one. Then everybody, even investors, be like, wow, this is an unfair advantage. Founding team. Why did I start with a team? A co-founder or a founding team is the first essential thing, essential answer to why you need to have. Either you are the only microbiologist you are the only one, or you're a serial entrepreneur. You have done it before, you have created a startup, and it took off, right? The second one is your product. After the team, to answer why you, after the team, it comes to a product. Is your product 10 times as good as the next alternatives in terms of speed, price, etc.? When you do user interface with your problem, you come to realize what users are looking for, or what are the existing products are missing in the market, right? So is your product at least 10 times better than the existing alternatives, or even the next ones? If somebody comes the next 10 years, you'll still be better 10 times because of your price is good, your speed is good, or any other top KPIs that you use to measure how big, how good your product is, right? That's something. The third one is acquisition. Can you grow more quickly and cheaply than others? Why you? Because you have good marketing experience. You could organically grow quickly, swiftly, cheaply than others. That gives you the age of saying, why me? Because I can grow this company. Like the acquisition cost, the COG is very cheap and more quickly. Yeah. The fourth one will be the moats. You make it hard for competitors to outcompete you. Yeah. Examples of moats are like, network effects, right? You're very connected. You're very connected with people like this. Let's say, for example, you are doing a government-based project, right? And you have done it before once, so you have that, and then you have the ministry knows that your capability, so you're very connected. So those are like, yeah. Or you have a patent. Yeah, you have an unfair advantage. Like you have a trademark, or your cost base. Your brand is known. For example, I remember we were doing jokes about with my father, like we should order Bolt to go to town. And my father's like, oh, so Uber, Uber has a new product. Like to him, Bolt is just another Uber. So he's using one brand to define. Like, come on, guys, we understand the good examples of this. Every time you ask somebody to meet you at a petrol station, we always say, meet me at Shelley. Nico Shelley, that Shelley is a brand on its own, but we have rebranded all the petrol station to Shelley because Shell was one of those biggest brands. So do you have those unfair advantages? You have those moats, you have network, your brand is big, maybe first time, so it's just something people use to define other brand, right? Okay. So initial validation. So after you have all this and then you've answered, why you now you need to do what we call you need to validate the idea, and this is going to be our last piece of today. You need to validate the idea. Now you can do a lot of things. A lot of people will have a lot of methods to do validation. Initially, I'm talking about initial validation, but to me, you could use 3 of the following steps to do just initial validation. Not necessarily, big thing. To me, one, I do what I call sense check demand. Is it a good problem? Just one question. Is it a good problem? Can you pay for it? So I ran a series of user interview. I asked maybe 50, 100 people, hey, I'm planning to solve, for example, what is your rent issue? Da, 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 da. And I get the answer. Like, what if I solve it like this? Or is this a good problem? Like, is it frequent? Is it painful? Is it all that? Is it all that? So first of all, I do sense check demand. Is it a good problem? Yeah. When I get the answers, then I'm asking myself, is it a reasonable market size? Yeah. I normally use the rule of thumb. I mean, is within 5 years, you can get to 100 million revenue. Yeah. This is thought exercise versus science. For example, if I need to capture, say, 80% of a market to achieve 40 million in revenue, that market size isn't really big enough for VC, venture capitalist investment. You may choose to review the problem and redefine it or broaden it. If you need to capture at least 80% of the market size just to make $40 million, then no, that problem is not good enough. A good problem is a problem that if you use the rule of thumb, in the first 5 years, you can get at least $100 million revenue. That, if you're able to prove that, that is a good problem, and that can give you way far. And the last way I use to do my initial validation of my problem is I do assessment against VC investment criteria. I've done that for Food Sasa, I've done it for Pango, I've done it for Anzisha. I do assessment against VC investment criteria. You see, I do team, I do product, I do market business concept. Further, I do in details, I actually further detail on this, I get further details on my team, on my product. So if you are frequently, if you go to Catapult or you go to SeedStar, they'll give you this due diligence documents. If you use those to validate your idea, to start filling it. So if you use basically VC, because we're all going, from pre-seed to IPO. So if you use those documents as your criteria to initially validate your idea, it gives you a sense of very higher level focus in terms of what am I building? Is it my team ready? What do I need? Product version of it. Yeah, so basically that's what I use. I use 3 ways to initially validate if this idea is good. So first will be sense check demand to see is it a good problem. Second one, is it in a reasonable market size? I don't need to grab 80% just to make $40 million. I need to make $100 million revenue in 5 years, then that will be a good problem. Or I also validate using startup VC investment criteria. Yeah. So on that note, I'm so happy you guys attended my session. This will be the end of my first session. Drop comments below on my YouTube channel, trying to tell me what next can I teach you. And I know I have a lot of experience. I used to be a head of marketing for Jumia a couple of times for 4 years. So in marketing, e-commerce, I have 12, 15 years experience in terms of building e-commerce, building products. I'm a second-time founder. So I'm sure we can share a lot of things. And this will be very, very exciting to meet you guys in my other session. Drop me comments below. Tell me what you want me to train you, and I'll be more than happy to do it. Thank you so much. This is Albany James. Peace out.